The life and times of Chichi the cat. It was during a cold, icy evening in 1995 when I met Chichi for the very first time. A faint sound of a kitten crying at 2 a.m. made me open my eyes. I asked my girlfriend if she heard that, and there it was again. We got up and went to our bedroom window, and frozen up on the rooftop was this sweet, frightened, tiny kitten with beautiful green eyes looking up at us, crying for help. How did she get there? Who does she belong to? What should we do? Stop asking questions and go get that cat before it freezes its little ass off. We brought in the poor frozen cat and immediately got her a bowl of milk and towel to dry her off. Her fur had frozen bits of ice on the tips and had dirt and mud all over her tiny little legs and body. She started to drink, and as I approached her with a towel to dry her off and clean her up, she jumped back and started to hiss at me. As my girlfriend and I looked at this cat in amazement, trying to figure out what to do so we can get back to sleep, the presently unnamed kitty started to roam around the loft and studio that we lived in at the time. This was an unknown, frightened animal running around a giant loft, and she might get hurt. This is where we decided to put her into the bathroom for the rest of the night so that we can clean her up and figure out what to do in the morning. We put her in the bathroom, gave her food, left the light on, and said goodnight and went back to sleep. Within a few minutes of lying down, we started hearing this heavy banging sound like someone was trying to smash through a door. We quickly got up to investigate, and the sound was coming from the other side of the bathroom door. We looked at each other with this what the fuck face and opened up the bathroom door. This little cat came darting out and runs back into the loft. Chichi had been running full tilt from the far end of the bathroom, smashing her little face and body into the door repeatedly, trying to virtually bust through the door. I mean, she wasn't much bigger than a fucking squirrel at this time. Chichi was determined not to being locked up for the night, and it was getting late. My girlfriend and I decided to accept that this is how it was going to be for the night with this feisty, barely born creature. We didn't have a door in our bedroom at the time, so we decided to stack up a bunch of suitcases in front of our door so this wet, dirty little gremlin doesn't come and surprise us when we are fast asleep. I put up the suitcases and tried to get back to sleep. Just as we were about to doze off, we get abruptly torn out of our half-sleep by a series of banging noises, like someone is trying to bust into our room. My girlfriend and I sit up and look at the teeter-tottering suitcases in complete disbelief. One more big bang, and the top two suitcases come tumbling down into the room, followed by a little super Chichi in her raggedy dirt costume, hissing and screaming and purring all at the same time. I was blown away. I had never had a pet before, and she really looked like a hyper dirty little rat bat that would just take a bite out of me when I would fall asleep. Chichi was insisting on staying in the room with us, not only in the room, but on the bed beside me. If I tried to touch her, she would just look at me and hiss her face off. I was genuinely scared that night, but I could never tell you how lucky and blessed we were to have met what would become our true companion in life, like a child we never had. This power and determination she had for love and unconditional loyalty would follow us for 20 years, almost 24/7. I am writing this with great regret and a deep feeling of pain that I wouldn't have expected to feel like this at all. Yet I feel it is my duty to do this now, as I need to get some of the best of my memories written while it's still fresh and flooding in my mind. I'll be jumping back and forth with some cool memories I have of this very special soul cat. Having spent so much time with her at every level, she became our best friend, our judge and jury, our hope, our example, a deep inspiration, and our personal consultant. I remember after we had her for about a year or so, we had to leave to Los Angeles. We felt so bad that we could not see her, and I had an insane idea. Skype had come out, and I had every intention of hooking her up with her own account, computer, and webcam. That's right, Chichi is the first Skype cat with her own account and computer I can call that will open up her webcam and screen where she could see and hear us. How cool is that? So here we are at this big music trade show, and I'm in LA, and I'm calling up my cat for all these rock stars and people to witness the coolness of the cat called Chichi. In the 20 years that we were blessed with her presence, she was an indoor cat. She had lots of space, and we were always with her. Besides going out on the balcony or a checkup to the vet, she never really went out or got to hang out with other animals. This is probably why her behavior and conduct became so human-like. She was soft and very ladylike, but when you took her to the vet, it would take 3 people to hold her down with gloves as she made the kinds of sounds that we have never ever heard before with the power of a big dog in a little cat's body. A true warrior, and a cat that purred with love constantly for 20 years. So like I told you, Chichi was an indoor cat. So on the day that someone left the back window open and I went out to look for the cat and couldn't find her, the first thing that happened is the panic started to set in. I started screaming her name out in the back alley. I could hear dogs starting to bark and get agitated like they were about to attack something. I remembered that my girlfriend shakes the cereal box to make her come out when we can't find her. I grabbed the cereal box and go out to the balcony and start shaking it like mad. I'm yelling her name and starting to hear the dogs even go crazier. My panic starts to elevate and I think I'm going to cry now. In my desperation, I come up with a last shot in the dark. I run to my studio and get a microphone and a powered speaker to plug it into. I set it up on the balcony and I remembered that what works better than shaking a cereal box is the sound of the electric can opener. She goes nuts when we open up tuna. I crank up the speaker and go into the kitchen with the microphone and place it up on the can opener. I start the can opener and 300 watts of screaming can opener goes echoing into the rooftops and alleys of my neighborhood. I remember holding that mic and staring at the can opener, crying like a baby. What have I done? Fuck! I'm the someone who left that window open. I'm the one who lost and possibly killed Chichi. I finally stopped. No cat, no Chichi. I sit down on the couch with my heart beating and my hands on my face sobbing like a baby when my girlfriend walks in and says, "What's wrong?" I said, "I left the window open and I lost the cat." She looks up at me and says, "No, she's not. She's right there." And there she was, strolling in the window after a little expedition on the rooftops. The things you do for animals you love, they become part of us, who we are. I feel that Chichi was here to represent the best parts of us, unconditional love. As Chichi evolved, she would adopt many amazing new habits, as well as completely abandoning habits and developing new ones like all you cat lovers all know so well. Most cats I've met are pretty solo. They show some affection to get what they want, and then they go back to doing their thing. I would imagine that part of this depends on how much time you spend with your cat. Having spent so much time with Chichi, some of the things that were normal for her to do were quite dog and human-like. I could call her from anywhere in the house, and even if she was sleeping, she would get up and come right to me. I would say, "Get up here," and she would come. We had a ritual that every night before I would take my bath, she would come and get me at the same time, follow me up to the bathroom door, stand up on her hind legs, reach up to the door and pry it open for me to walk into and start running my bath. I would get into my bath and she would jump up into the sink and curl up with her face looking at me and wait until it was time for me to leave. I used to call her Green-Eyed Lady. It was so cool. I'm sitting in my bath listening to music and sometimes I would look up at her into those beautiful green eyes and think, how cool is this? This beautiful creature loves me. And I love her. She loved water. At one point, she went on a kick where she would only want to drink Fiji water from the bottle as you were feeding it to her. My friends used to freak out when she used to do that. She can actually tell the difference between the different waters. All you had to do was show her a Fiji water bottle and she went nuts. Then there is the "let me show you what I got for you" master. Chichi meets the mouse. Chichi was a skilled, precise hunter. When it gets cold, sometimes there are mice that try to get in from the cold. Well, those poor mice stand zero chance against Chichi, even when she was 19 years old. She would always do the same thing. We would be sleeping. We would get woken up by her running around in the dark. The running would stop. You would go back to sleep to be woken up by this mega strange sound that she only makes when she had a mouse in her mouth. Of course, we'd get up, turn on the lights, and there she was standing like a proud hunter, protecting the home for her masters. Chichi would never kill the mouse. She just wanted to show us her skills, and would put the mouse down and we would set it free outside. Chichi was like a kind fisherman who catches the fish for the sport and then sets it free. There are also the clone habits that develop that is pretty cool, like I eat, you eat, I drink, you drink. I listen to music, you jump up on me and listen to it with me. I decide to write something on paper, you decide to sit on the paper I'm writing on. If I didn't feel good, she would lay on the part that didn't feel good to make it feel better with her amazing healing purr and body heat. I called you my baby tiger. You're wild and sophisticated, smart and beautiful, and we understand each other. I also loved the way she would share her time with both her masters. My girlfriend and I have been madly in love for 30 years, and she was with us for 20 of those years. Chichi would come spend equal time on each side of the bed with us. First her side, then my side, and then she developed this new habit of jamming herself between us with a constant purr and true loving affection. For all the cat lovers out there, you can totally relate to what I'm saying. Not everyone gets cats, but we do. Such sophisticated animals. But once you get it, it becomes indescribable. The last time I saw Chichi, just before she went to the vet for her last time, she looked into our eyes and shed 2 big tears, and they rolled down her face like a real human, saying goodbye. For weeks after her passing, I could still hear her jumping onto the bed and see a flash of her running to her food bowl every time I opened up the fridge to get something to eat. The deep feeling of love and attachment of this selfless creature that had spent its whole life loving us is embedded into our souls forever. I truly feel that we have lost a piece of ourselves without her at our side. Today, we got her back from getting her cremated with this beautiful service where they take her paw print and put her in a beautiful urn with her name and a clipping of her hair. Having her back in the house has made me feel so happy, and I can feel her energy is back with us. In the box that had her paw print, there was this story of how when a cat goes to heaven, they are happy. They have food, and they hang out with other cats waiting for you to arrive. And then when you do, they will walk with you forever in heaven. This made us feel so good and positive about her loss. I will now set all her remains, possessions, and toys in her little cat house, which she loves so much, as a memory and a place for us to say hello, sweet Chichi, every day and every night. Thank you, sweet, beautiful cat, for being in our lives with all the unconditional love we gave each other and all we have learned from you. We are better humans for having had you in our life for so long, and I thank you, Chichi. We love you, and you will always be in our hearts and soul until we meet again.